Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask each of you, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show, but you didn't get around to it? Chris Fitzsimon, I'll start with you.
Well, you were asking Dan about the proposal by the Senate to cut the corporate income tax, even though they haven't met the revenue goals. It was interesting this past week how Senate Rules Chair Tom Apodaca spoke at University Day to university leaders and told them that the Senate was committed to giving the university system more money and maybe even replenishing some of the $400 million cut that was made in 2011, which seems hard to imagine given the fact that they also want to cut the corporate income tax, go to a single sales tax for corporations, which, as Governor McCrory points out, would cost us $500 million. The governor couldn't find any money to give the universities more money. He actually paid for enrollment and then actually imposed another cut on the university system. So it's a little bizarre to hear a powerful senator talking about increasing the university budget. At the same time, they're talking about cutting taxes and costing us hundreds of millions of dollars.
Would you say he was pandering to the crowd?
Well, I don't know. That might be one interpretation.
Doug Raymond, what do you wish you'd have said?
Well, we talked a lot about eminent domain, and I didn't want to go off on the proverbial rabbit hole, but I'll tell you one thing that's very similar that always gets a lot of discussion on the local level that I'm very concerned about, and that's forced annexation. And eminent domain is important, but when you look at the number of people that are affected by forced annexations, people that buy their property in the county, they dig a well, they don't need water and everything, and they say, hey, life is good, and then all of a sudden, the town or municipality puts their eyes on them and says there's a tax base there and they're forced to come in. That's a real scary thing, and it affects a lot of people, and I think it's a topic that's not talked about enough.
Dan Blue, what do you wish you'd have said you didn't?
When we were talking about the partisanship going on, one of the things I wanted to mention was just the delicate touch that they're lacking when it comes to local government. It seems like left and right, they're tripping over themselves to be commissioners or mayors or other people at a very local level. And that's unfortunate. The one area...
We heard that not long ago from the governor, didn't we?
I think that's exactly what he said. And then the areas where they need to reduce some of the regulation, for example, the school calendar, they're silent on. And that's going to be an issue over and over again.
Wow. John, what do you wish you'd have said?
Well, I sort of maybe wish it's what I shouldn't have said, which is what I wrote my column this week that I mentioned about we should save money rather than do any other big fiscal initiatives. Well, nobody liked the idea. From the left, I got attacked for saying, you mean we should put money in the bank instead of giving pay raises? Teachers and state employees need pay raises. And then from the right, I said, you mean we shouldn't cut taxes? That would improve the economy and create jobs. And my argument to them is, look, if we don't save enough money now, when the next problem comes along, and there will always be a cycle, there will always be fiscal pressure during a recession or whatever, then you're going to be faced with some really painful choices. And even though I believe in cutting more spending, I think the worst way to do it is sort of immediately, suddenly, without forethought, without planning it out, because you have to. And of course, I don't like the idea of cutting taxes 1 year and raising taxes 3 years later. So I think the prudent course is to build up our savings a lot, and apparently I'm an army of one on this topic.
Actually, you're not.
Army of two on this topic.
If you will trace North Carolina's economic growth and progress, about every 8 to 10 years, we go through these boom and bust cycles. So I read it, and I said, makes sense to me. So now there are two of us. Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. More video all during the week on ncspin.com.